And when you know all of these things, it makes it so much easier for you to advertise, for you to connect to them, for you to write your emails, for you to send out text messages that they understand or that is relatable to them, because then you know their interests. Hey y'all, hey, it's Chameleon Gang, and today I'm talking to you guys about branding. And I'm not going to just talk about like fonts and colors, which is something that we will get into, but it's a whole lot bigger than that. It's so much more to it. So let's go ahead and get into it. First things first, I want you to think of your brand as a person. What would they say? How would they say it? What would their personality be like? Would your brand be Beyonce, or would it be Sasha Fierce? Would it be Tyler Perry, or would it be Medea? You get what I'm saying? So think of your brand as an actual person. How you write your emails will come into play with this. How you write your statuses for your brand, your captions, all those types of things that will come into play, because that is that brand and how they would say something, how they would come across. And thinking of your brand as a person is probably the easiest way to make you understand where I'm coming from. This is the voice of the brand as well as the personality of the brand, which brings me to my next point. I'm going to put a chart up here if you've never heard of it, but your brand persona or archetype goes into more depth. I'm going to give you a few examples, but for example, let's say you want your brand to come off innocent. You know, that sweet, innocent, kind of childlike girl. Or if you want your brand to be more of a rebel. You know what I'm saying? So y'all gonna talk in two different ways. Y'all gonna talk in two different tones. Y'all wouldn't come off the same way in your branding. You wouldn't come off the same way in your advertising. So if you know your brand's archetype, personality, etc., all these things come easy. You also want to be relatable to your customer. So are you trying to come off as a customer's friend would come off, like them, or are you trying to come off as someone just that customer would like, someone they look at and say, ooh, I need that in my life because I don't have that friend? Or maybe you even want to come off as who the customer would want to be like versus the customer's hey girlfriend, or ooh, I like her, I need her in my life. There's so many different approaches you can have to this, but this is the easiest way for me to explain it, so I hope y'all following. Next, I want you to think about how you want them to feel when they come across your brand. Do you want them to feel inspired? Do you want them to feel cared for? Think about those things when you're coming up with your branding for your business. Which brings me to my next point. When you choose your colors, different colors mean different things. They make customers or clients feel different ways. So for example, black comes off as luxe or successful, whereas yellow will come off as fun and energetic. So don't just choose colors based on it being your favorite color. Choose the color for your brand based on how you want your customer to feel when they come across your brand. Think about the moods and feelings that you want to encourage your clients to have when they see your brand, and choose your colors based on that. I'm gonna touch a little bit on fonts, but I'm gonna be honest with you. They say to stick to 2 to 3 fonts. This is really to encourage familiar. How do you say it? Familiar. What the familiar? I'm just gonna say this. This is just to come off familiar for your customer. So if they come across this font, this color, they know it's you, right? It's a familiarity. The only I cannot say that word, so we just not even gonna do that to myself. I'm not even gonna do that to myself. What I'm gonna say is, it encourages your customer to know who you are when they're repetitively seeing things such as your font. They say to use 3 max. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of break that rule myself, but if you want your customers to be a little bit more familiar with whenever you come across their feed or whenever they come across the ad of yours, it may be a smart thing to practice. The next thing I'm going to talk about is themes. So say for example you do nails, and say your theme is shoes. Okay, now I'm coming up the top of my head with this, so just follow, just roll with me, okay? Just roll with me on this one. So say you do nails, your theme is shoes, so your most basic of manicures, meaning just cuticles, nail polish, cleaning your nails, stuff like that, the basics, that might be called the Steve Madden. You know what I'm saying? Like, you give it a name like that, like the Steve Madden, the shoe thing, right? But say someone's getting a full set, they're getting designs, they're getting a massage after, the whole nine, the whole luxe treatment, right? Say they're getting the top of the top, and you might call that the red bottom. So this is just to give you an idea of what I mean when we're talking about themes, because that's something that you probably are familiar with. But I will say this, you do need to know your customer or client, because if you're making your theme shoes and your client knows nothing about shoes, or you make your theme cars and you're talking about this is the Buick versus the Bugatti, and your customer doesn't know anything about cars, the dots won't connect. So you do need to know your customer before choosing your theme. And when you know all of these things, it makes it so much easier for you to advertise, for you to connect to them, for you to write your emails, for you to send out text messages that they understand or that is relatable to them, because then you know their interests, you may know what age range they'd be in, you might know where they shop, you may know what TV shows they watch. So you could use these things to be relatable. So if you're talking to people who used to watch Urkel back in the day, then you can use like a phrase from Family Matters that they would be able to laugh at or they would be able to connect to. Versus if your client or customer base only watches TikTok, then maybe you can use popular songs from TikTok that you know everybody used, or something that went viral, or something at the time. Whereas somebody that you may, if you're talking to somebody in their 50s, they may not know what you're talking about. So that's what I mean when I say like you can use it to your advantage to get your points across in a more relatable way, make them laugh, make them feel a little bit of nostalgia. I mean, marketing is so powerful in so many different ways, as long as you know who you're talking to. You know what makes them tick, you know what makes them click, you know what makes them happy, or if you know how to evoke certain emotions, it'll make your job so much easier. Alright, so that's all. Love y'all.
Now I know you're with me, and I know that I don't have to worry about what tomorrow holds. You got it on lock and you're so good when I can't see. You're so good at taking